Hello, my name is Nicholas Santillo, and in this assignment walkthrough video, we're going to be looking at how to create a pivot table and a chart in DHIS2. All right, so let's finally get some data and look at some reports after we've developed everything and entered all of our data. So how will we do that? Today we're going to be looking at the pivot tables and data visualizer, and what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a report in one and then swapping it over to the other. So let's look at our pivot table first. We'll just pop into here and we can see we already have a very different user interface where we're going to be selecting the what, the where, and the when. We have the option of using categories to help disaggregate or isolate some of our numbers, but we're not going to be doing that today. We're just going to be looking at some very basic ways of creating that report. So the what. This is our indicators or data elements. So we can see we have the options here. We're just going to select some data elements, and instead of using a group, we're going to actually look at all of them and then search monthly. So we have all of our data elements that were titled monthly, and I'm just going to throw them all in there because we don't have any specific report that we're trying to build. We're just trying to look at how. So now I have my what. I'm going to pop over into my periods. And in the period, I have last 12 months automatically checked off, and that's relative. So that means it's the last 12 months from whenever the person is looking at that report, which is wonderful because we can have live reports, and they can go down to as small as this week, or you can see there. So that's kind of interesting. If we want, though, we can select a period type. We can go monthly, and we can select specific months. You can see there we can select just a few months in 2017. We can also go back into different years and select specific months to compare maybe the November from 3 years ago. And then finally, organization units. We want to select the organization units that we want to look at. I'm just going to look at all of these because I'm just trying to pull out as many numbers as I can. So when I click update, here we go. I get my list. And you can see right away I have a lot of empty space here. So what I'm looking at really is January, February, and March of 2017 are the only periods that are useful. So I'm going to go into 2017, and we want to say we're looking at January, February, and March. And I'm going to unselect the last 12 months, and let's just re-update that and see. That's a lot better. Cool. So now we have some numbers here. It's fairly clear, and I should be able to scroll. Yeah. So what I can do at this point is I can look at my layout, and I can actually swap some of this around. So if I update this, I have now all of the data here, and I'm looking at organization units as my column headings, and I've kept my dates here as the rows. But of course, I can change that again if I like combine all the times and just isolate it by data elements. So you can do a lot of fun stuff here, and of course my columns now are my organization units. Now, this organization unit is already aggregating everything below it. So if I wanted to just look at, for example, what's going on in Canada, then you can see those numbers that were Canada are now actually split up into these provinces. And that's probably why logical outcomes, when I selected it, if I select that in addition to Canada, logical outcomes will have numbers that are much greater because it's an aggregation of everything that's below it, which in our case is everything. So that's how we're going to create our basic table. And of course, if I click on options, I can look at removing subtotals and totals, add or remove labels, and I can do some other stuff here. But finally, what I want to do is I want to look at what this looks like in a chart. So I'm going to go open this table as a chart, and we'll see what that looks like. Because the data entry screen is identical for both the table and chart. It really just comes down to how you want to see it. Now, the only thing I have new in the data visualizer is I have these different options of how I want to show my data. I can do stacked bar, horizontal bar, or horizontal stacked lines, pie, etc. So this is a very easy way to create or swap over our reports from charts to tables and vice versa. And if finally, when I want to save this or share it, I can download it as a PNG or a PDF or any of these plain text as an XML even. I can embed it. This is my HTML code to embed this if it's publicly shared, and I can favorite it, and that's how I'm going to bring it onto my dashboard. So I would save here, and I would need to give it a name, and I'll call this test 1 with my initials, and I will save. And that means that I can always come back to it and find it here to rework on it, or I can pull it up in my dashboards, which we'll look at a bit later. And that's how we create simple tables and charts based on all that information that we put into our system. Thanks so much for watching. You can access our curriculum at the link you see there, or email us at info@logicaloutcomes.net.